So, welcome to another episode of Sit Downs with the Stand-Ups. You know, I told you that Sit Downs with the Stand-Ups, we are going to highlight individuals who have overcome, who have dealt with the worst that life could offer and figured out a way to persevere and evolve. You know, I really wanted this show to highlight individuals who are formerly incarcerated, being formerly incarcerated, understanding the stigmas that come with incarceration, that you're a criminal, that your life is over, that you're no good, and that you can't be anything. And a lot of people actually feed into that narrative. Society feeds into that narrative. You know, unfortunately, when you have a felony, there's certain jobs you can't even get. There's certain places you can't go. You know, so I would like to highlight individuals who have dispelled those myths. Individuals who have taken that time that they were incarcerated and utilized that time to come back to society and be not only productive members of society, but extraordinary members of society, successful members of society. And this brother right here that we are about to witness and hear, his story is phenomenal. You know, when I first got in tune with him, you know, I loved his product. And then when I heard his story and I was like, wow, you know, these are the people that should be highlighted. These are the individuals that we need to give platforms so they can inspire other individuals. Some who are incarcerated and are coming home soon, and some who are not incarcerated, knowing if he did that after incarceration, then I know I should be able to do it. So without any further ado, we have my brother Darrell Alston.
What's up, man?
You know, the owner, the founder of Bungee brand. How you doing today,
Good,
King?
man. How are
Yes,
you?
sir. I'm blessed and highly favored, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Listen,
I've definitely
man.
been a fan of yours for a long time. I've definitely been following your journey as well, so I appreciate you for having me, man.
Thank you, man. You know, it's brothers like yourself that make my job worth doing. You know, coming home, you know, after doing 7 years in prison and trying to just find a lane. And it was hard because a lot of people wouldn't let you do certain things. You know, a lot of people feel, oh, you are all of these stigmas that come with being incarcerated. You know, I had to overcome those things. And brothers like yourself who find a way to overcome those things without anything, just figuring out while you inside that cell and you're figuring out what am I going to do with my life and coming up with something as successful and profitable as yourself, man, is nothing more than commendable.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It definitely was a lot of work, and it's definitely hard, like you said. I don't think that a lot of people understand, like, what it's like to be formerly incarcerated. And, you know, it was hard for me to get life insurance. It was hard for me to move into an apartment because of my background. And, you know, just everything that goes along with it. And then you have those people that are like, well, all you have to do is just stay out of trouble and not go back. But it's like, I had to do these things, and then I got caught again, and then I had to go back. So it's like, you know, eventually you just have to try to figure out your way, and you got to move smooth, and you just got to understand there's going to be more downs than ups. You know?
That's exactly what it is. So what we like to do is we like to take people through the journey with us.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So where you from? You from Philly?
Yeah, I'm from Philly. I'm from the outskirts of Philly, though. The thing that's crazy is, like, people always be like, man, you from the suburbs. But it's like, it is considered the suburbs, but it had, like, 3 to 5 blocks in each suburb town that just wasn't suburbs.
Yeah.
And
that's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's always the rogue places in the suburbs. You know, you got the rogue individuals in the suburbs, and you being locked, we be in prison, you be like, yo, where you come from?
Exactly.
And they say black, you be like, they was doing crime out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's those rogue places. So you were born and raised in?
Yeah, I was born and raised in a town called Paoli. Paoli's probably about, like, 25 minutes from the city.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the train station's right there. The R5 takes you right to the city if you want to catch the train. And, you know, I had family members that lived in the city. So I picked up all the habits from being in the city, and I brought it back to where I was at. Even though there was a lot of drug use and all that stuff that was going on, I picked up really fast that there can be a lot of money being made there. And one thing I could say was I was heavily influenced by hip-hop. Like, I didn't understand at the time, like, what Condoleezza Rice and all them was trying to say, like, you know, when they was bulldozering, you know, over the tapes and stuff. I didn't understand. I'm like, why y'all blocking our stuff? Like, this is our hip-hop. I didn't realize how influenced that I was over it. And I remember at certain points when I was trying to get on my music, I used to hear rumors like record execs want to go to your hood to make sure you really was what you saying.
This is true, though. That's true.
So it's like, you know, a lot of people was putting in work just so they can have that for their record deal. You know what I mean? So it was like, I'm not saying I did that. I was really out there just trying to get money, and I was trying to create businesses even back then as like a late teen, like early 20s. And I just got caught up. You know what I mean? So, you know, for me, I used to use all my money for studio time, producers, travel. You know what
So
I mean?
you started out rapping.
Yeah, yeah.
So what year did you start rapping?
I always hate to say my year because dudes
They
know
gonna
how
know how
old I
old
am,
you are.
but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Yeah, let's come on.
But,
Listen,
but the
own it.
first real situation I got involved in was with Cool C and Steady B.
Wow. Okay.
And I was down with the Hilltop Hustlers. This is around the time the youngsters first
Oh,
came
so
out.
you been here.
Yeah. I was in the game.
You had some, so you might have some bars.
Hey, I don't do it anymore.
But you
I
might, because if you
definitely
was
do.
with Steady B up there,
yeah.
you had a couple
So,
bars
and
with
it's
you.
crazy because right after I got down with the Hilltop Hustlers, that's when they ended up getting locked up.
Wow.
And I was a teen at the time. Like I was a young one. I think I was only like maybe like 12 or 13 at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember like the highlight of my music career was when I first got in the studio with them. And, you know, I seen Cool C walk in. I remember he was like really tall. He had this Philadelphia Eagles jacket on. And I remember Steady being Cool C used to always wear like Adidas, like the forums. So I just remember being a young boy looking and just admiring. And then I ended up doing a song with Steady B. And, you know, again, I was a kid. And he was like doing the intro and the outro and all that for me. But that deal ended up kind of severing. But I was around when 3 Times Dope was doing Greatest Man Alive and all that. I was all affiliated with them at that particular time. It's just that I was young. And then after that, I ended up getting into a situation where I got with these guys called Rebel Hill Records, and they had distribution through a major. And it didn't really go anywhere, but I was affiliated with that family. So I kind of stuck with that. And then over years, you know, things just keep shifting when it doesn't look right. So I ended up getting locked up. And then
So take us back. Okay. So you was rapping. You started rapping young, 12, 13. You know, Steady B. What was you doing? What did you start doing illegal in the streets?
I started just, you know, I used to go to the city and they used to have caps. Remember the caps that used to be in like New Jack City, like the cap vials? And around our way, like I have like 9 aunts and uncles. And like pretty much all of them was getting high. So I already had the you know, the license to get in the game because my people was already doing it. And sometimes, you know, I would take my uncle to the city and, you know, he'll buy something called a bundle. And I remember, you know, I would go down there.
If you was in the 80s, everybody know what a bundle is.
Yeah. So I would go grab a couple bundles or whatever, and I would take it around the way. And a $3 cap in Philly was worth $25 where I was from.
Wow.
So one $3 cap was $25. So I can go spend $45 and leave with like $400. You know what I'm saying? So then I would just go back down.
That's why dudes was going out of town. We was taking everything from New York out of town.
Yeah. And the thing that was crazy, I remember this one time, I ended up meeting some girl at the Greek picnic. And she was from Somerville, New Jersey. And she took me to Plainfield, and they had, like, the big bottle joints. I was getting them for, like, $5 and was selling them for $100 around my way. You know what I mean? So that's how I started to make my come up. And, you know, we were doing, you know, I just looked at it where it was like, I got to make money to be able to go to the studio. I got to get producers. I got to get on. I'm trying to do my thing. And I remember, I want to say probably like around 96, 97, I ended up doing a song called C Notes and Grants, and I actually sampled one of the youngsters for the hook. A dude named Mentally Gifted. He was one of the producers. So MG, he made that beat for me. And we ended up going to Power 99, Radio Day. I'm talking to the program director. His name was Golden Boy at the time. And Golden Boy played my joint on Make It or Break It. It blew up. Ended up getting like 99% Make It. And it just kept playing over and over and over again. And I caught my case right at the time that my record started to blow up.
So you caught a drug case
Yep.
right at the time your record. This story kind of sounds familiar a little bit.
Yeah. So it was like, you know, as soon as I'm starting to get my burn, I'm in the county and I'm listening to my song on the countdown. So I'm like, damn, man, like I'm supposed to be out there, man. I'm missing the whole run. So by the time I ended up doing like a year and a half on that first bid that I did, and by the time I came home, like the buzz was kind of gone, but they were still using a little drop that I was doing for like the countdown. I did like a little drop for on the top of the C Notes and Grants beat. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna hit MG up. We're gonna get back into to the music thing, and we ended up jumping back in. And then he made a couple songs for me, and then I got linked up with these dudes from St. Louis, right? And the dudes from St. Louis, you're gonna know exactly who they are. But I ended up, I was engaged with someone named Moshe Loren.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I was engaged with Moshe, and she moved to St. Louis because she had a program director job there. So I go to St. Louis with her, and I ended up meeting one of the dudes from the Track Boys. He's the one that did Everybody in the Club Get Tipsy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is before that, though. So I heard like a demo of him, because we was at a party together, And I love this production. I'm like, yo, I need that Philly sound on top of this. You know what I mean? And I remember specifically, on the East Coast, we really, really lyrical. So I'm like really getting in my bag. He was like, bro, hold up. No. If you're going to rap to the St. Louis joints, you got to be like, one, then comes the two, to the three, and four. Like, they was real simple. So I had to like learn how to like stop being like super lyrical and have to like really ride in the pocket.
Make it fun. Yeah.
So, we ended up making, a full album. I did something with the track, half of the album with the Track Boys and the other half was with the Track Stars. Track Stars is the ones that did all Chingy's stuff. Like Chingy, and they did some stuff for Ludacris and stuff like that. So I'm in the mix now. Like I'm in it. And the Track Boys, they ended up getting a deal with Atlantic. And they had a production deal. They did something with Nappy Roots and a couple other people. So they like, yo, you next in line, let's go. So I'm like, all right, let's get it. Like, sign me to Atlantic or whatever, get me in. So, Atlantic was very interested. Universal was interested. And I was supposed to go to Atlantic to go.
So wait a second. What was your rap name?
Fourth Quarter.
Fourth Quarter.
Yeah.
Fourth tier?
Fourth was, D is the fourth initial of the alphabet. And then the first time I went to jail, I only had a quarter in my pocket when I left, and I never wanted to forget that. Everybody thinks the fourth quarter is sports, but D is the fourth initial in the alphabet. The quarter was what I had in my pocket. And I was like, no matter how much money I get, I'm going to remember that moment that I only had that quarter in my pocket. So after we ended up doing that, my man, Tar Boy, his name is Mark, but they call him Tar Boy from Track Boys. He ended up setting up a meeting with Atlantic Records for us. I never made it to the meeting because I ended up getting locked up again.
Lord, man,
never made it to the meeting. So at that point, I'm in, what was that, Camp Hill, SCI Camp Hill? It's a state prison in PA.
Okay.
And I've just got a TV because, like, when you first go and transition from the county to the state, you can't get a TV or nothing like that. So I ended up getting my TV, get the cable cut on, and the first thing that I see is everybody in the club get tipsy video. And now you got to remember, I know Jaquan, I know Tar. I'm seeing Jermaine Dupri, all these. I'm like, yo, like.
Listen, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. You sitting up. And
man,
like,
it was crazy. So I'm like, damn, like I'm missing my run. This is the second time I missed my run. So now I'm just like, I'm happy for my guys, but at the same time, I'm in jail and I'm missing the whole opportunity. So
how long was you locked up on the second?
3 years the second time.
So it's a year and a half on the first time,
and then three the second time. And my man that was in there, he was like, yo, you notice that every time you come to jail, you're getting more and more time. You know what I mean? You got to stop, messing up. You got to get out there and do the right thing. So in my mind, I'm like, I can't really, like, I have my mind trained to believe that I got to sell drugs because no one's going to give me anything. I'm not going to be able to work a 9 to 5 and be able to go to New York to go to these meetings. I'm from Philly. So it's like, I got to have a way to be able to get money. And that was my only way that I thought that I can do it. So I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to put a team together. I'm going to let them hustle. I'm going to come in, scoop my bread, and I'm going to leave because I just started to make more and more money. So after I came home after doing that 3 years, got linked up with Starboy, and I remember we ended up coming to New York for something. It was like a record release party for the game or something. Okay. Like it was because the game just came out when I got out of jail. And he was murdering, like he was down with G Unit and all that. And I'm like, yo, like, boy, it's nice. So at that time I met, Drez from Black Sheep. I met Jim Jones there. And, I'm just trying to build with everybody. I'm like, yo, like my time is now. I'm not getting in trouble again. I'm done with it. And then I got back to St. Louis, and Moshe connected me with Nelly. So, I ended up opening up, for Murphy Lee and Nelly and all them dudes, and we're like really running around doing it. And as soon as an opportunity came where like Universal and a couple other people was coming at me, because you got to remember, I'm getting radio play on the radio. My chick was the program director, so I was getting all the airplay that I wanted. The other station that was the competitor, they was playing it. DJs was playing it during mix shows. I'm getting them nice little checks, from the sound scan stuff. I mean, not sounds, BDS and all that. And everything was going smooth. I'm still flying back and forth from Philly to St. Louis. I go back. We just left Bahamas from doing a shot in the Bahamas. I come back, just check on my spot, go in the crib. I come out, them boys jump on me. Wow. I ended up doing almost 7 years on that one. And you got to remember now, it was only like a 9-month difference between the 3 years that I did and the 6 years I did, or 7 years I did. So I only had 9 months on the streets.
And you was building.
And the Track Boys was killing stuff. The Track Stars was killing stuff. This is when they was doing that raindrop joint for Ludacris and Waterfalls, whatever that was. Like all the producers that I knew, they was knee deep in the game, killing it. And I already had like a vibe with everybody, so it was like, you know, everything was good. I already knew it was my turn. You know what I mean?
What was that feeling like the last time that you got, like, because I know
When I did it the last time, I ain't gonna lie to you, I was just like, man, my life is done, man. It's a wrap. And I knew with the amount of work that I got caught up with, I knew I was going down for a minute. Like the 6 years they gave me was like, I got lucky because I should have did way more time than that. And the thing that's crazy is I didn't even get caught with the work. I got caught on the phone. It wasn't even, I didn't even get caught with the work. I was on the phone talking about
Kids.
it, and I was talking about it in
Phone.
code, and they still figured it
and
out.
y'all on the internet.
You know what I mean?
And he got
Yeah.
caught in the listen.
Yeah, man, and
Yeah.
ended up doing almost 7 years for talking on the phone.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it was like, you know.
Tell you that them phones is dangerous.
Yeah, man. So it was like, you know, I ended up going to jail, and, you know, I just felt like it was over, bro. Like, I'm like, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. I'm like, I'm getting older, and one of the things that I hate the most, this is the reason why I'm a fan of LeBron to this day, because I'm tired of people saying that you're too old to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to have a time stamp or an age stamp on our hip-hop? Like, you know, you can't tell me that once you turn 40, you can't rap anymore.
Hip hop is 50.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
You
So
know what I'm
like,
saying? If hip hop is 50, how old do you think the people that do
it's
it
crazy because, like, you know, I remember when I was in the prison cell and I'm watching 106 in Park or whatever, and Game came out with that song, that One Blood song. He's like, you 26 or 36 and you still rapping, And at that time, I'm like 34, and I know I wasn't going to be home until I was damn near 40, and I was trying to grab that mic again. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of was like, damn, like they really like putting an age limit on what we can do.
That's a
and then
fact.
all the dudes that I knew that was older, that was in my generation, they was all like, yeah, man, we don't do it no more. Like, young boys don't really respect us anymore. And I'm like, yo, I'm doing it. I got hip hop in my blood. And, you know, the whole 6 years that I was there, I had a keyboard, I'm making beats, I'm writing songs. You know what I mean? So I was like, as soon as I get home, I'm jumping right back in the studio. So, you know, I ended up doing probably like 3 years out of that 6.5 or whatever I did. It was really closer to 7. And I remember my grandfather passed away, and my grandfather was like my dad. You know what I mean? And I wasn't able to go to the funeral because the prison wasn't letting me go. And I remember my mom was like crying, like, yo, what are you going to do with yourself, man? Like, what are you going to do? Like, you're done. Like, your life is over. They doing background checks to get jobs. You're not going to be able to get a good job. You're not going to be able to move where you want to move. You got to figure out what you're going to do. So at that particular moment,
that's the realest shit.
Yeah, man. And it was crazy because I never heard my mom cry like that. So I think it was a combination of her crying because of my grandfather passing, which is her dad, and then me being in jail for all this time. And it was like, I'm the only child. I'm my mama's baby, you know what I mean? And she just was like, just trying to figure out what my life was going to be. And, you know, once I got off the phone, I was never a religious dude. Like, I remember, you know, one of my favorite lines with Jay-Z was when he said, the only Psalms that I read was on the arms of my niggas. And that was me. Like, I never prayed. I never really believed in anything. And I kind of just was like, I'm living my life for today. If I don't make it tomorrow, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But I got to make it today.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, something told me to get on my knees and pray, bro. Like, I was praying.
When your mother?
Yeah, when my mom got off the phone with me that day, I prayed. And I'm like, I don't know how to pray. I don't know what I'm doing, but I prayed. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. Please send me a sign or something. Like, give me some kind of something. I was crying and everything because I just didn't know what I was going to do because that call was like a scary call. And I'm thinking I'm going to get out of jail. I'm going to go back into hip-hop, but now I'm going to be 40 when I get out. You know, I don't know if I'm going to sell drugs again, but I already know that if I sell drugs again, next time it's going to be 20 years instead of it being, 6. And then, so many things were just going through my head. And it was like, once I got done praying that day, I don't know why. I never did this before in my life. But something told me to pick up that pencil and sketch a sneaker. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And I never tried to sketch before. I'm not a designer. I never did any of this. I never had any desire to be a designer. You know what I mean? All I know is I like to get fresh to get on stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I would rock the craziest stuff on stage because I wanted people to know that I'm above you. I'm an artist. I don't look like you. I'm the nicest. Like, that's how I just felt.
Mm-hmm.
So at that particular moment, I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and draw a sneak real quick and see how it comes out. And the first sneak that I did, it looked like it was a 3D image. Like, I had the sneaker laying on the paper. And I'm like, yo, like, I didn't even know I could draw. Like, this joint looked like the real deal. You know what I mean? So after that, I ended up doing, I got hooked. And I'm like, yo, I'm just going to keep sketching and keep sketching.
It's crazy how you find that you got hidden talents.
Yep.
Especially, I tell people all the time, most great men experience periods of seclusion, right? If you look at all the Malcolm went on a pilgrimage. Jesus was on the pilgrimage. Like everybody goes on certain pilgrimages where they just seclusion and they get into their own thoughts and they start to figure things out. So you found your purpose, something that you were good at. You discovered a talent in a time when you figured was the worst and you were secluded away from everything.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So I ended up, at that moment, I'm like, man. So I just kept sketching and just kept sketching. I just kept thinking to myself, like, if I'm on stage, what would I want to wear on stage? And I just started coming up with the craziest sneaks. You know what I mean? I'm just like, yo, like, I love this. Like, for me, it was just, I got
It was
to the point.
therapeutic kind of,
man. It was like, I was getting to the point where I was forgetting that I was even in jail sometimes. So, like, I would wake up in the morning, go to barber school, because I ended up being, like, the teacher's aide in there. So I was teaching dudes how to get their licenses. And I would work at the shop. I would go home. I'd make, like, 2 or 3 beats, write to them real quick. And I had a whole crew in jail. Like, we had, like, 12 rappers. It got to the point where them dudes was getting mad. I didn't even want to come to the yard to make beats no more. I wanted to, like, sketch. And then, next thing I know, I have, like, 100 sketches in the vault. And I'm going out there like, yo, what y'all think about this? And dudes like, yo, who sketched this for you? Like, it was that good. Like, people couldn't even believe that I was the one that was doing it. And then, I started to gravitate towards glasses. Then I started making clothes. Then I started making jeans. Then it was, watches. And everything that I sketched, it just looked like I've been here before. You know what I'm saying?
It's so God-given talent, right?
Yeah, so at that particular moment, I'm like, okay, cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, just use this for artwork. I'm going to save this. I'm going to put them in frames. Whatever crib that I get, I put them on the wall or whatever. I never really took it seriously. And then one day I ended up, praying again because I felt like I was getting closer to my God. I'm like, I'm having a relationship with him because I was a firm believer after I sketched that first sneaker. And something told me like, yo, like start creating a business plan. Create a business plan on this sneaker thing that you're doing. So I started creating a business plan. My mom started sending me business books. And I started to take it real seriously. So I had 3 years of straight learning the business, how to do finances, how to do all these different things. And I'm just like, damn, like I never knew all this existed, but it's similar to what I was doing with selling drugs. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like parallel, but it was a little bit different, but it was the same thing. So when I came home from prison, I'm working at the barber shop and I'm saving my money.
So, okay, I'm going to cut you off. How long was you in prison?
For that last one, I was in prison for 6 years and 9 months.
6 years and 9 months. So 6 years and 9 months, you done found your niche. You drawing, you praying, you getting closer to your purpose, to your God, and then you get out.
I get out, and I'm at a halfway house. I mean, I didn't have a place to stay. At the time, I ended up moving in with my girl's mom. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have nowhere to go. You know what I mean? And, I lived in her mom's basement. You know what I mean? Because, like, I couldn't get an apartment because of my background check. So, and, I only had, like, I had a gun possession charge and I had some drugs. And it was funny because I had 3 different charges of possession with intent to deliver. And then I had a gun charge with one of the drug charges. And I remember I went to this one apartment. They had the nerve to tell me that if I was a drug user, they would let me in. But since I was a drug dealer, they wouldn't let me in.
That is exactly how they do it.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
so I'm just like, yo, so you'll take somebody that's willing to break in your crib to try to, get some money to be able to buy something from me, but you don't want somebody in there that has money. You know what I mean?
Because in their mind state, the person who's distributing the drugs is the real culprit. That now what the mind state is the drug user is somebody who needs help.
Yeah,
we
want a problem.
But at the end of the day, we all addict. It's an addiction for everybody to a certain degree. Especially when you start hustling at a certain level, and you used to having certain things, you become addicted to that lifestyle. And then especially when you hustle out of a sense of desperation first, nobody wants to be broke. So I think that was their mind state. But
you got to remember, I started selling drugs when I was like 13, 14 years old.
It was pretty much all you knew.
So, I go from selling drugs at 13, 14, and now I come out of jail at 40. You know what I'm saying? Now you want me to get a job? I'm working in the barbershop, and you know how the barbershop is. Brothers is not jumping in a new dude's chair. It's not going to happen. So I'm sitting in there all day long just watching everybody cut, and I'm nice. You know what I mean? But nobody would give me an opportunity. So, I'm in there for like 4 or 5 months, bro. Like, this was my wake-up call right here. I'm not making any money. I'm, asking for money to be able to get to the barbershop. Now, you got to remember, I'm a hustler. I get bread. Like, you know what I mean? I was the type of dude that had $200,000-$300,000 in my closet at any given time when I was selling drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going from that to not having any. Well, I had like money in the stash, so I wasn't completely broke. But it's just the fact that, you know, I didn't really make anything, and I'm making like $20, $30 a day, and compared to what I was doing before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a mental thing for me. So one of these dudes that I wasn't really good with in the streets, you know, we was like, you know, rivals on the drug selling thing. He comes in the barbershop one day and he was like, yo, let me holler at you real quick. So we go out back and he's like, yo, with all the knowledge that you have in the game, the customers that you had, man, you need to link up. You know what I mean? Like, let's stop the bullshit. Let's link up and, you know, do our thing. So I'm like, nah, man, I'm done. Like, I can't do it. Like, I don't have no more jail time in me. I'm focused on doing something else. And the wake-up call was, dude was like, bro, like, you don't have to do anything. All you got to do is just come in the crib and, you know, cook up. You know what I mean? Help me cook up, da-da-da. And I kept telling him, like, yo, every time I got busted, it was off of some, like, weirdo stuff. It wasn't, like, a drug raid or something like that. It was always, I'm getting pulled over in a car. I'm just coming out the house at the wrong time.
God giving you a message.
No lie, bro. 2 weeks later, this boy got knocked. And he doing 20 years. He's still in jail. He still got, like, another 10 years to go.
Damn.
Now, just imagine if I would have went and I would have been in that house. I would have been home for
walked right
4
into
or 5
his
months, and I'd have been right in that situation. So that goes to show you, you know, you'll get blessed if you do the right thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And, you know, even though I didn't like what I was doing, my parole officer wasn't really riding me because I was going to work every day. He was seeing that I was working, and I'm used to my parole officer riding me. And I didn't understand it, but after I got off parole, my parole officer was like, yo, like, what was happening was, if you was under some kind of investigation by the police or if somebody ratted on you, which you have a lot of people that are doing it, they contact your parole officer.
Exactly.
So that's why I was riding you. That's why I was giving you urines every week. That's why I was
knew
on
that
you.
People was telling me, yo, such and such is around this person. He's around this person.
And it's crazy because now I'm thinking back, I'm like, why didn't I realize that? You know what I mean? And I didn't even realize
let you know it's silent heat.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
And it's crazy because, like, dudes was telling on me just because they didn't want to get, like, pay for running a traffic light. Like, how are you going to snitch on me because you didn't want to pay a fine? Like,
because they can.
Yeah.
That's the era we in. There's no, people don't have any ethics on. It's like, you know.
So here's where everything gets different, and here's how my life changes. You know, I have all these different sneakers at this point. I got like 300 sneakers, 250, something like that, and all these jeans and all this stuff that I created. But I created it like I was a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So I started to get sneaker samples. I don't have nothing to do because nobody's sitting in my chair. And I just kind of just started lining my sneaker samples up in the window of the barbershop. And this one particular day, this dude comes walking in. He sees the samples. He's like, yo, whose sneakers are they? Oh, they mine. You got a size such and such? I'm like, nah. You got a size such and such? Nah. And he was like trying to buy them for his kids. And I'm like, nah, I don't have them. This is just samples. He's like, so what do you need to be able to get your thing going? I'm like, man, I need money. I'm in here trying to save money so I can try to get it. And I'm laughing because I'm thinking that he's just a regular boy. And come to find out, this dude was rich as hell. And he was like, what do you need? Do you got a business plan? I told him I had a business plan. He was like, yo, meet me at Starbucks tomorrow. I met him at Starbucks tomorrow with the business plan that I created while I was in prison, which is the thing I told you, like, when you're in prison, you got to work towards what you're going for. If I didn't do that business plan, I wouldn't have had one because I wouldn't have did it when I was on the street because I was trying to cut hair. So fortunately, I had my business plan. I actually had 3. And I went in, sitting in Starbucks, and I showed him the business plan. And he gets to, like, the second page. Like, you said you only need, like, 7,000? I was like, yeah, because I had my own bread saved up, too, and I was, like, 7 grand short. He was like, I'm going to give you 14. I'm like, yo, all right, cool. Well, can you finish reading the business plan so you can see what I'm trying to do with the business? He gets, like, another page and some change, and he's like, yo, I'm going to give you 21,000. I'm like, all right, but finish the business plan. He got, like, another 3 or 4 pages. He was like, bro, I like what you got going on. I'm going to give you 50 stacks. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, who gonna give me 50 rats? Come on, man. That's not the environment I come from. Didn't even sound believable. Next day, boy hit me up. Yo, come to the bank. I'm like, all right. He was like, he showed me how to get my tax ID number, the EIN stuff, and he gave me all the information right there at the bank. Him and the bank set me up. He could put the 50,000 right in the account, and I was off to the races.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that's how it started. So now I'm like, I remember walking back to the barbershop, like, just thanking God, like, yo, you put me on, right? But the reason why I called.
But what was the guy? What did he do?
He worked at a company called Heron Cable. It was like a cable company.
Heron Cable, okay.
Yeah. And what happened was, him as an employee, from what I was told, I don't want to give no bad information, but from what I was told, from what I remember, he basically got some kind of stock in the company as an employee, and then Comcast came through and bought it, and he immediately became a millionaire.
He was up. Okay.
And he's black, so he wants to see other black men prosper.
That's
he
what
looked
it's
out
about.
for me. Yeah, he looked out for me. He gave me the 50 racks, and I was off to the races. So I'm like, hitting my manufacturer up, like, yo, I'm trying to put this order in. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. So this is where everything kind of got crazy. And the name of my company is called Bungee because of all the ups and downs that was going on in my life. Like when you think about the music career, every time I was getting ready to get on, I fall. You know what I mean? Every single time, it was just it felt like a bungee cord where I was going up and down all the time. So I ended up ordering my first order. I think I got like 2,000 sneaks. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited. I mean, I already seen the samples. It's what it is. And I didn't realize, like, I'm thinking that when I got my samples, I ordered it from the factory. They sent it straight to my house. I'm thinking I'm getting 2,000 sneaks coming to the crib. I'm going to move it. I'm going to put it in storage, and we're going to start hustling. I'm going to hustle like I was selling crack. You know what I mean? The sneakers come, first of all, before they even get here, I didn't realize I had to pay for a ship, like for it to come over by sea. I had to pay thousands of dollars to get it from the factory to the dock. Then I had to pay thousands of dollars for each inch inside this,
Each inch
I had to pay for that to get sent over. Then when it got to Philly, I had to pay for it to get from the docks to the warehouse. Then, who was it? What's the name of, and it's crazy that it's on the tip of my tongue, Customs. Customs came through and intercepted the package, right? So Customs come through, and now they charging me every day that it's in their facility. Wow. So I'm thinking that I'm paying like 30 grand for my order, but I ended up paying like another like 14 grand just to get my products. Like I didn't even realize that like it was going to happen like that. So that's why I always tell people, like, do your proper research before you actually make a move to go do something, because I spent $40,000 trying to get this order over here, right? So I finally get everything out of Customs. We get it on the truck, and I'm like, all right, cool. I blew through damn near all the 50 grand, but I know that I got like $500,000 worth of product, and I'm moving it. You know what I mean? So I get it back to the storage place, and I'm like, oh, hype. I still haven't opened no boxes or nothing yet, but I just know that I have them all there. So I get inside the storage spot. We're moving everything in there. I'm taking pictures on Facebook Live. Now, you got to remember, when I first got locked up, there was no Facebook. There was no Instagram and all that. So when I came home, I had to teach myself how to do it. So I pulled the phone
what year
out.
did you come home?
2013.
2013, okay.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there, in front of the boxes, taking pictures and doing Facebook Live and all that. And I opened the box, and I'm like, yo, what's this? They ended up replacing the real leather with polyurethane leather. Like, they ended up putting all this extra padding on the back heel. Like, it was just like a totally different sneaker. I'm like, yo, what am I supposed to do with all this? I can't move this. Like, who's going to buy this? So, it just wasn't what I ordered. Like, they basically just
gave you, they catfished you.
Yeah. So now, to this day, I still have these sneakers.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm probably going to
So you was like 30,000 something in the hole from the.
Yep, with that first joint, and I couldn't sell nothing. Like, my main supporters, like my family members and stuff like that, bought some stuff, but I probably made like $1,000 off of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
like,
so you spent that in about 40.
And got about a rack.
Damn.
So now I'm in a situation where I'm like, okay, I got another factory that I was dealing with. I got to try to do something, but I only have 10 grand, 11 grand. I don't know what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? So what happened was, we're sitting in the barbershop, and the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, and it's the Eagles parade. That was like 2018 or whatever it was. So my man is like, yo, man, if you had something with the Eagles on it, you be popping right now. So then the light bulb go off. I go back to the crib, I sketch an Eagle sneaker, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, I got a couple months before the season starts, after they won the Super Bowl. So I put it to the factory, and I'm like, yo, I only got this amount of money. I got to put a certain amount of money away for the shipping and all that. But then I found out that if I got it flown over, I didn't have to deal with all the costs with customs and by sea. I didn't have to pay for the trucking services. They would fly it straight over to Philly, and then DHL would pick it up and bring it straight to my crib. So I ended up ordering like 275 pair of Eagle sneakers. These Eagle sneakers came the day before the Eagles game, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to hustle these things the same way I hustled crack. And it was good. It was good quality. Everything was good on them. And I'm like, all right, I'm off to the races now. So I wake up the next morning, and Fox 29 was like doing like an Eagles pep rally. So I'm like, I'm going to this pep rally. I gotta try to hustle it. So I packed this truck up. I'm out there by myself with tons of Eagles, 275 pair of Eagle sneakers. And I got to the pep rally. I'm walking with a wagon and a pair of sneakers in my hand. And everybody's like, yo, what's that? Da, da, da. So I started selling sneakers right away. Like, I didn't even get to the pep rally yet, and I'm selling sneakers. I finally get in front of Fox 29, and they immediately put me on the news.
Check out my new kicks. I'm ready for game day. What's your name, pal?
My name is Darrell, Alston.
And this is your new business you got,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, it's a clothing line called Bungee, Bungee Apparel. And,
Okay.
you know, we have a variety of different clothes and sneakers, but we
I'm
actually
going to
did
walk the
Super Bowl
runway a little bit. What?
I ended up, you know, telling everybody, like, yo, I got a sneaker company called Bungee, and there's the Eagle sneaker, da-da-da. And people was catching the bus down there, catching trains down there. I sold 250 pair of sneakers in one day.
Wow.
Made all that money back. You know what I mean?
Look at
So
God.
now I'm back on my way. You know what I mean? So now I'm like, okay, cool. I sold the majority of these sneakers. I'm good. You know what I mean? And now I can jump right back. Like I got the 50 grand back. Like I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So one day I ended up coming in with these red and gold sneakers to the barbershop. And, you know, they stand out, loud type sneaker. And one of my homies pulls up and he's like, yo, you know someone that want a TV? And I'm like, nah, we don't do that smoky stuff like what you talking about. He's like, nah, man, my boss is giving away a TV, and it's like a big movie theater type TV. So I was like, man, I'm gonna go over there, I'll take it. You know, somebody wants it in the barbershop, I just give it to him. So I go over to the house. The house is huge, bro. Like, I didn't even realize that these kind of houses was even in this area. And, you know, the gate opened up like this. You got animals on both sides of the driveway and all that. And we get inside this living room, and we start to pick the TV up, and this older lady comes out. And she's like, yo, what kind of sneakers are they? I put the TV down. Yeah, my name's Darrell, Alston, company Bungee. You know what I mean? I'm telling her all about the brand. And she kind of just looked at me and just shook their head and just kind of walked off. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, all right. I still tried. You know what I mean? So I ended up leaving. And then I want to say about an hour later, my man hits me back. I was like, yo, what you do to my boss's wife? And I'm like, what you talking about? He was like, yo, she love you. I'm like, for real? So she didn't even write down my website, but she remembered it. And she went to the website, loved it, and she was like, yo, I really want him to meet my husband. And I had no idea who her husband was, but I knew that he was well off because I just left his house. So I'm like, I'm not expecting him to give me anything, but I'm hoping that since he's so successful, he may be able to drop some jewels on me to be able to help me with my future. So we ended up meeting up. I go back to his house, we talking, and I'm like, listen, before we even start talking, I have to tell you straight up, I was incarcerated 3 different times. I spent over 10 years of my life in jail. And if you have an issue with that, let's just, you know.
We ain't even going to waste your time.
Like, if you, exactly. Because I've already been down that road,
right.
too.
We know how that go.
And he was like, what you go to jail for? And I told him about the drug situations. And he was like, you ain't have a good lawyer, huh? And he started laughing. I'm like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, he know.
You know what I mean?
He know. They know. Listen, man, everybody is doing something. They just got better lawyers than we got.
And you got to remember, this dude, like, almost 80 years old. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you know, older dude. So he was like, listen, you know, after he heard my situation, he was like, I'm not interested in fashion. I am a venture capitalist, and, you know, I do know people and stuff like that. But he was like, you know, I'm not interested in investing in your brand, but I never went there for an investment. So I was like, okay. So he was like, but I do know someone that was in your shoes just 2 years ago, and he's a millionaire today. I want to introduce you to him. Come to my office, you know, next week or whatever. I'm going to introduce you. So I get to his office, and I see this, you know, this one dude that's walking into the conference room, and then the secretary comes and puts me in the same conference room. Conference room is big, like real big, long table. And we're just in there talking about football, sports, all that. And as we're talking, all these people was coming into the same conference room from the back door. I'm like thinking to myself, like, who the hell is all these people? Right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Am I in the wrong room or something?
Mm-hmm.
And he comes walking in, dude Bob, he's the one that set everything up. And he sits down and he's like, yo, did Darrell tell you guys about his story yet? They was like, nah. So he was like, yo, tell him about your business and tell him about your story. So I basically gave him like a real quick version of my story, and I concentrated more on my business. And the dude that was across from me, he was like, and let me remind you, there's 13 people in there. There's 13 guys and 1 woman. I still don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? But I'm pitching.
It said you might. It sounded like you was in Get Out for a minute.
Yeah.
Dude,
So,
just walking in the room. You know,
it was
like
crazy.
looking
It was
around
crazy.
like,
And, you know, they weren't really talking to me. They just kind of came in and just sat down. I'm introducing myself to everybody. So the dude that was across from me was like, yo, I just got a question for you. Like, would you be interested in telling your story? And I was like, nah. Because, you know, for me, telling my story is embarrassing. I ain't want people knowing I was in jail, and people were like, well, if you went to jail the first time, why'd you go back to 2 other times? And you already had the music thing popping. Why would you, like, people just don't understand the situation.
Don't even
you know what I
understand
mean?
the totality.
Yeah, so I didn't really want to, like, really expose, like, what it was. He was like, I'm all in if you want to tell your story. I didn't know what all in meant. I'm like, what are you talking about, you all in? I'm kind of just sitting back. And
That sounds like a couple dollars right there.
Yeah, and everybody's going around the room like, I'm in. I'm like, again, what? And then the next thing you know, one of the dudes was like, yo, how much money do you need? I was like, probably like 10,000. And they laughed at me. And Bob was like, yo, the 2 dudes down in the end, they're financial people. We want you to go talk to them, and then they're going to come back and tell us how much money you need. So I'm like, all right. And then the lady that was there, she was their lawyer.
This is like a dream, right?
Yeah, no, it's real. It really happened.
This sound like a movie. You're supposed to make a movie out of it.
No doubt. And it's crazy because, again, you know, I'm still kind of fresh out of jail. I still got the slang. You know, like I had to reteach myself how to talk. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know what they saw in me that, you know, made them be like, yo, like, I think that we can, you know, really believe in this kid. You know what I mean? And I ended up getting with the financial team. And they come back and they was like, yo, you're going to need like 1.5 to 2 million. I'm like, who going to give me 1.5 to 2 million? They ain't giving me no money. Get out of here. And the dude, Bob, hits me back, you know, in the email. I was like, yo, I heard you need like 1.5. I was like, yeah, that's what they said. He's like, all right, we going to get it. It was that simple.
Shout out to Bob, man. Yo, Bob, I'm here, man. I got a couple ideas for you, my guy.
So it happened that quickly. So it was like everything was going smooth. You know, they ended up giving me, you know, like, I want to say it was like 75.
And what year was that in?
This was the end of 2019 going into 2020. And, you know, they gave me the bread, or not all the bread, because they were still putting the checks and stuff together. So they gave me enough money to be able to go find an office, get some office space, get whatever I needed. So, like, they was asking me what I need. I'm like, I need embroidery machines. I need this. I need that. Like, I wanted to have my own facility.
Factory, yeah.
I didn't want to have to ask anybody to do anything for me. You know what I mean? And I realized when I was doing it myself how much, like, places was charging to do embroidery or how much they was charging the heat press. So I went and bought all my own heat presses. I bought all my own embroidery machines. Sewing machines. I got everything with that check. And then I found an office space that had, like, it was like a big warehouse, office brick type old warehouse thing. And plenty of space, and I started setting my spot up. And I put the old 2000 sneakers in there that wasn't selling. You know, I just set it all up. And right after I screwed the screw in on the last desk, one of my homies hit me up and was like, yo, you watching TV right now? I'm like, nah, what you talking about? He's like, yo, turn the TV on. Turn the TV on. Donald Trump's doing a live press joint talking about COVID's here. We shutting down for 2 weeks. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was you right during COVID.
Bruh, like right in the middle of what I'm doing. Like, I just got my first check. We about to. And then, you know, my investors, they like, yo, like, we never seen nothing like this before. We got to back out. We not doing it. And everything just flipped just like that. Wow. Blink of an eye, bro. Like, just like that. And they just told me to go get furniture for my office, do all these different things. And, you know, like I said, I got the embroidery machine and all that right before I started setting my desk and stuff up. So I was actually ready, you know, to get business going, but everything shut down. And then in Philly, where my office was at, they had like military people out there like forcing you to stay inside. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I work at the barbershop still, but I do get a salary to be the CEO of my company. And I'm like, the barbershops is closed, so I'm just going to sit my ass in this thing. I paid the whole year's worth of rent, and I was like, YouTube University, here I come. I went on YouTube. I started learning how to sew. I started learning how to, you know, use that embroidery machine. I started doing heat press stuff. I'm making all these clothes from scratch. I'm cutting up materials. I'm doing all these different things to be able to figure out how to be able to be a real designer. And I just taught myself, me just sitting in the office with YouTube. Everything was there.
During the pandemic, you taught yourself how to make clothes.
Yep. And make tech packs and do all these different things I needed to do and figure things out. And I figured it all out. And then, you know, like right before my lease was up, Bob was like, yo, man, like, you know, we know that it's all over, but we just kind of want to come down to the office and just see what, you know, what it looked like before we shut it all down. So he comes down, and, you know, I had all this stuff all set up. Like, it was a banging facility. And he comes in, and he's like, I can't leave. I can't walk away from this. like, we got to do this. Like, this stuff is amazing. So I'm like, bet, like, let's get it going then. So we ended up renewing the lease. They gave me more money.
Hey, Bob, you the man, Bob. Bob is the man.
Yeah, so I didn't get the $2 million like I thought I was going to get, but I got, damn near $1 million, like, what I mean? Or I got $1 million. And, that's when I started, like, trying to figure out better ways to be able to get my sneakers. And I was in a situation where it's like, I want the high-end stuff. I want to be able to be that dude that's selling stuff that, these, the $1,000 sneaks. I want that. I didn't want to do, like, the low end or the mid-range. And I ended up saying, all right, I got to go to Vegas. I'm going to try to see if I can try to go to one of these conventions and try to find, a factory for me. And I went to the Magic convention thinking that that's where I was supposed to go, 'cause I've never been there before. So as a matter of fact, I've been there once before, like years ago. But then I was like, let me go to the Magic convention. Maybe I can run into somebody there that can, show me where I need to be on the high-end stuff. So me not, understanding, I'm going to, like, the places where people have the high-end stuff. And I'm like, yo, where y'all get y'all stuff done at? Like, man, get out of here, bro. Like, yeah, so I ended up going to Vegas like a couple days early because of COVID. And luckily I did, because I'm in Vegas. The Magic convention doesn't start until like 2 days later. I'm just walking downstairs to get something to eat one day, and I seen all these people going into this hotel. So I just followed them just to see what was going on, because it was like really packed outside. I stepped in, and it's a manufacturer convention, and it's nothing but European convention. European.
Are you
brands.
serious?
Step
Your
right
God
in.
ordained your steps, man.
Bruh,
That's all you can say.
I didn't even know that they even had conventions like this. I'm sitting there trying to find all these factories in China. I walked into this convention, and it was nothing but Italy, Spain, Portugal, like all the high-end stuff. It was all in this hotel.
Wow.
So I ended up going in. I didn't really know how to speak their language or whatever, but they had like a company that was in there that was like a middleman that could
Interpreter.
actually, yeah. So they interpreted for me. I ended up hiring them for them to be quality control for us. And after that, the brand was alive. You know what I mean? We had the money to do it. The brand was alive. And then we had a release with this like boutique type sneaker store in Philly. And somehow the news found out about it, Channel 3. And they came out, and I remember they was like, look, this episode is only going to be literally like 10 seconds. So you got to say everything you got to say in 10 seconds. So I'm like, yo, my name's Darrell Alston. I'm the CEO of Bungee, and I designed these while I was in jail. That's all I said, because, I was still rough around the edges, you know what I mean? So they aired it at like 6 o'clock, and then by 6:30, I had a producer from Channel 3 calling me up like, yo, we want to do your story on, Chat with Jessica. So when I did Chat with Jessica, after I did that, every single news channel that was in Philadelphia called. Then, we got Fox Business. And then, that's when I found out that racism was still alive, because they was grinding me up. Like the people that was watching, they were saying some crazy stuff. But, we did that. We did Inside Edition. And once we did Inside Edition, the CEO, at the time, his name was Dick Johnson. Pause. I know y'all from New York.
I mean, listen, they played. I don't really do it. That's Cam and May State.
Okay, yeah, I don't do that either. But I figure since I'm in New York, let me say that. But anyway,
enjoy yourself.
The boy's name was Dick Johnson, and he was the CEO of the company, and he apparently was like walking out of his hotel room when he heard the commercial for me being on Inside Edition. So he ended up staying inside the hotel room to see what the episode was about, and he got his people to reach out to me, and that's how the first Foot Locker deal was born.
So you got to deal with Foot Locker.
Just off of being on Inside Edition.
Wow.
So we ended up doing a deal with Foot Locker, and we, like I said, we was there for an hour and a half. We made almost 10 racks. Like, the line was through the roof, and this is like the height of COVID. People came, like hundreds of people came out to buy these sneaks. So that's when I realized, I'm like, yo, I'm really on to something. I'm really blessed right now. I don't know what's so special, because I looked at it like I ain't do nothing but just draw while I was in prison. But everyone's like, yeah, but you could have done something else while you was in there.
That's
but
right.
You did that. So with that being said, after we blew up with the Foot Locker thing, we ended up getting a phone call saying that, Nick Cannon had his own TV show with Fox.
Shout out to Nick.
Yeah, what's up, Nick? Good luck. So anyway, he ended up coming to Philly, and they literally gave me like 48 hours to customize a shoe for him. So I ended up hitting up, one of my guys, and we just sat there and we just came up with the custom work, and we ended up doing a sneaker. And it was like, I told Fox, I'm like, listen, the only way that I'm going to do this is if you let me give them to him on air. Like, I don't want to just give you the sneakers and you just give them to him and then you walk away. So they let me do it. I met him on the air, and then they gave me like 2 minutes to tell my story. And Nick was like so blown away with like the quick 2 minutes that I gave him. You know, once we went to commercial break, I ended up, you know, walking backstage with him, and I gave him like a couple other pair of sneaks. And he was like, yo, man, like, give me your number. And I'm like, man, you going to Varnell Hill me, dog. You know, remember Varnell Hill from Martin? It's like, if you was in L.A., you'd be on my show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, man, you going to Varnell Hill me. He's like, nah, man, I'm telling you, man, I got you. So, literally, like, I left the TV studio, and not even 20 minutes later, one of his producers was calling me, telling me to come to New York that Monday. This was like a Thursday or a Friday. They was like, Monday, we need you in Harlem. So I'm like, I'm out there. So we ended up going out there. You know, dude treated me like I was like one of the biggest celebrities alive. Like Nick,
No, that's how Nick is.
Yeah,
man.
he's a stand-up dude, man. I got
dude.
nothing but positive things to say about that dude. And you know, he treated me like I was a king the whole time I was there. We did the episode. And I was always I kept asking him, like, yo, you really be freestyling when you be doing the end? He was like, yeah, man, I'm telling you, I do. It's like, man, I don't know, you be playing the piano too? He's like, yeah, I play the piano too.
No, he
So he told me to stand next to him when he did it, so that way he could see it. And the boy freestyled a whole freestyle about me and Bungee Albucheni. Like, it was dope. Like, he killed it with the piano and all that. So after that, you know, that's a national show. Sales started coming through. We blowing through the roof with the sales, and the following. Instagram went, like, we got 25,000 followers in 48 hours. Like, it was just ridiculous, like, how everything just started to blow so quick. And after we did the Nick Cannon show, you know, I ended up going to the BET Awards, and I ended up running into Earn Your Leisure. And I'm like, these are my guys. I bang with them. So, you know, me and my man, we ended up running them down, jumped on their joint. That helped us get to the next level as well. And we just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the next thing you know, I ended up reaching out to Neiman Marcus like 4 or 5 times. And every time I did, they was like, nope, no. You don't fit the matrix. You don't fit the matrix of our store. And finally, I was just like, yo, like, I got to try to figure out a way to get in Neiman Marcus. So we ended up flying out to Dallas, and I got with the buyer, and I had to explain to him, like, yo, we didn't just start creating sneakers. Like, we've been making sneakers since '07, which I showed you the first sneaker.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, they ended up giving us love. They gave us the first opportunity to be able to do our first Neiman Marcus, which was like right around the corner from where I grew up at. And we ended up, selling almost $30,000 in 4 hours. And then Neiman Marcus was in. Now we, sold a bunch of pieces to Neiman Marcus, and everything just blew up from there. So then, we doing the Neiman Marcus thing. Everything is going well. I'm on social media. I've been following you, and I see you on the Fuck Nike, John. And I'm just like, bruh, I got to get my man Mike some sneaks. And I basically stalked you until I got you them. Sneaks.
It was love, man. That movement for me was, I just looked at how, brother like Kyrie, was just talking about things, had a different opinion than somebody, and he was ostracized, after he had made millions of dollars for an organization, for a company, and the way that the man talked about it. It just and me being a big Nike supporter, like that's pretty much all I was wearing, and it just made me feel like, damn, we're supporting people and making people billionaires that don't even respect us as individuals, So that was the stand I took, and then when you reached out, the quality of your shoes, first of all, is immaculate. So I want to say it was dope, and then just listening to your story, I seen the Nick Cannon interview, then I seen the Breakfast Club, so just just hearing your story and just seeing all the interviews. And then after I met you, you came, like, that's when I knew you were serious. You pulled up sneakers like, yo, I got in my trunk, and you were serious, man. After they had completely lost the package.
Yep.
It was like 7 to 8 pairs. You was like, yo, it's about 7 to 8 pairs. I was like, bro, I don't know what they did with it. He's like, all right, don't worry about it. I'm bringing it to you. And you pulled up. You was in Harlem the next day, and it was like, nah. Just hearing your story, I was like, this is what we need to celebrate. These are the people who need platforms, that need my platform anyway. So I just want to say, man.
Well, I definitely appreciate. I didn't mean to cut you off. I appreciate it so much, man, because I don't think people understand like how hard this business is and how hard we work. And I think what happens is, when people say support black businesses, I think sometimes certain black businesses aren't ready for that support. And I think that when people actually support these brands, the brands may not be on the level that they should be on, and people stop supporting black brands. So, what I noticed is everyone has a clothing brand now. Everyone has a T-shirt line. Everyone is doing it, but it's like everyone doesn't have a real brand, and we shouldn't be judged. It should be a case-by-case situation because I know my stuff isn't cheap. My shirts are not cheap. My clothing is not cheap. We do cardigan sweaters. We do varsity jackets. We do all these different things, and nothing is cheap. And, you know, I feel like so many different people are pushing their, you know, brands that's not really ready yet. And people kind of think that all black people are the same way. And we have this stigma where it just seems like black is cheap. But if you think about Italian, it's expensive. If you never see like
It's just
other
access.
races.
It's just access.
Yeah, you never see other races running around selling stuff out the trunk of their car and all that. So they get a little bit more respect than us. So, you know, that's the thing that's crazy. But like real quick before we sign off, I just want to show you a couple
Oh
of
yeah,
sneaks that we
definitely,
have.
definitely.
Like,
Bring to, but I just while you getting it, I just want to say a lot of times it's because we don't have access to certain things. We don't have access to, you know, the quality. We don't even know those things exist. All the time we just have ideas. Like before you was able to create this quality. Look at that. Look, this is shoe.
Yeah.
You
All
know
right,
what
first
I'm
of all, I just
saying?
want to show you this. We did this back in 07. You still got the date on there, spring 07.
Spring 07.
So
Look,
we've
spring 07.
been doing like the Nike thing and
Spring 07,
remixing it and all that.
spring 07.
I didn't want to do that anymore because I didn't feel like that was all me. You know what I mean? And you know, I was a music guy. That's why the guitar's on there. And you know, people were hitting me up asking me to
I
bring
actually
those
think it's
back.
cool.
Yeah, they was dope at the time, but I'm just kind of over it now. But you know, we doing stuff like this now, and it's like it's all creative. You know, we got the zipper up the side.
Zipper up the side, the string.
Yeah, we trying to do all new things.
This is definitely high end.
And then, you know, Neiman Marcus loved this one. This is all Python. You got ostrich on there.
Python and ostrich.
And look at the quality. Look
Now,
at
this is
this
quality.
whole tongue and everything is all Python. This is all ostrich. It's all ostrich on the back. And, you know, again, you know, like you said, I don't think
These
that
is
we understand.
these you go out. These is your Sunday go to meeting shoe. These are shoes that you go outside. You know, you put together a good outfit. This is a good outfit shoe.
These sneaks right here, this is what I'm actually wearing right now. These sneaks right here, they're called the Courtly Links. I know that it's loud, but I did it that way on purpose because, again, I'm a rap artist. I want to go on stage.
And be
You know
seen.
what I mean? So this is all velour right here. This is velour. This is suede. This is pebble leather, mesh. All this is khaki. This
You
is
got
made
somebody
out of
for
khaki.
everybody.
Yeah,
You
this
got
is all
something
made
for
out of
everybody.
khaki.
Yeah.
And then this is python across the top of the toe.
Look, this is creativity went into this. You can tell you took time to make these.
This sneaker right here.
These one of my favorites. You got me one of these.
This is one of my favorites.
He
Right
gave
there.
me
I
these
love
right
it.
here. These right here. These is tough. I love these. These right here is tough, man.
Yeah, and then, you know, we got the casual joints right here. I love these.
Oh, these is kind of cool too.
Yeah, we got suede. We got the eel skin on here.
Eel
like,
skin.
Yeah, bro.
Boy got eel skin on his sneakers.
Feel me?
Nah, this is tough.
So yeah, so we have, you know, that I love that silhouette.
Silhouette is tough.
Again, for the people that's playing, they don't really want much on theirs. We have the all white.
Got the
ones.
all whites. Look, you
Know what
got
I
to
mean?
have you some all whites.
Have to.
If you ain't got you a pair of all whites, like these is the simple ones you throw. You could throw these on with a suit or some jeans. You know what I'm saying?
There's another plain one. I love this one.
The plain jeans.
Yeah, I
Now,
love
these
this
is
one.
tough.
That has Vibram soles on the bottom. And the deal with Vibram like made Timberland soles and stuff like that. And it was really, really hard to be able to get a deal with those guys. To be able to get them to do that for us.
Tough.
The ultimate butters.
Oh,
right
these
here.
is another one of my favorites. I
They
got.
them
He
butters
gave
right
me
there.
these is tough. Ooh, look, you see this? That butter. This is that butter. Now these is tough.
So you know, and then, you know, we have these two.
I got these too.
Yeah,
these
these
another
have-
one of my
yeah,
favorites.
they have ostrich on
These
them. They
is
have suede
tough.
and leather. So you know, I just wanted to give you just a real quick
Now, these
rundown,
is
just so you
tough
can
right
see
here.
that, you know,
These
we
two
have a
probably
wide
my
variety,
two,
so-
and the black ones my three favorites.
I know that, you know, we have, you know, for the people that are watching, they can go to our website, bungeebrand.com, and they'll see that we have a whole bunch of
So
other
you
stuff.
so where you at? You in Neiman Marcus right now?
Mhm.
So they in Neiman Marcus right now. A man that was in jail, 6 years in jail, selling drugs, back and forth in jail, came home with an idea that he drew in prison, that he created in prison, and came home. You in Neiman Marcus.
My man. And one thing, thank you, man. And one thing I just want to give the people, because I always want to try to teach people what I'm doing. One of the things that was the hardest thing for me to do was to learn how to speak their language. We can't keep running around with the slang. We can't keep running around being cool, because that's not cool in corporate America. It's not. You You know, like we're cool when we're in our neighborhood, but it's not cool in corporate America. And it's like some people, they don't care about that because they're looking at like, I'm just going to sell to my culture and this and that. But it's like if you're trying to cross that finish line,
you should be able to code switch. Yeah. I'm not against anyone able to speak. You should be able to speak any language of a room that you're in. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think you should be multifaceted. The same way you could speak street colloquialism, you should be able to go into these offices and speak the languages they speak. You should make sure that you have a very extensive vocabulary, that you understand the lingo of the fashion world, whatever world you in. You should be able to speak that language. So definitely be able to speak that.
And one of the other things people always say that if you can sell drugs, you can pretty much do anything. It's the truth, but the drive is totally different. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get the money as fast. It took me like 5 or 6 years before we started.
But I think if you're a hustler, you should be able to sell. If you're just a drug dealer, the only thing you can sell is drugs. Yep. Because drugs is something that sells itself. You supplying something that the need is already there. Yeah. When you're a hustler, you know how to create the need. You understand what I'm saying? Like, nobody knew that Bungee brand they needed Bungee brand until you created it. Yeah. That's what a hustler does. A drug dealer when crack is out and everybody's addicted to crack and you just get some crack and you stay on the corner, they're going to say, you got crack? No. When you're a hustler, you're going to say, yo, look what I got. And they're going to go, what is that? And you made them believe that this is something they needed. So it's way different. I tell people, if you're a drug dealer, only thing you can do is sell drugs. When you're a hustler, you know how to sell anything. Yeah.
So yeah, man. So if you guys like my story, please follow me at Bungee Brand on Instagram. Bungee Brand on Instagram.
Yeah, make sure you cop out, man. Yeah. Cop out. These are quality. Listen to me. These are quality and I just love the fact that this brother stood with his passion, man. He overcame the adversities, and he found a way to create something. He created a market for us. He found his niche in the market. And he did that coming from prison. So don't let nobody tell you that because you were incarcerated, because you got a felony, because you got anything that you can't be successful, that you can't be very successful. Because a lot of people in our society that you don't even know, but you will, because they're gonna sit down with the stand-up, so we're gonna have conversations with a lot of people that you don't even know have been incarcerated and have spent time in prison and came home and changed their lives around, and they doing phenomenal things. So this brother right here, we want to celebrate you.
Thank you, man.
For being a stand-up individual. You ain't tell on nobody in your jacket. Nah. Okay, we're making sure that too, because that's another one of the criteria. We don't do that. Listen, number one of the criteria is that you got to take your time like a man.
Absolutely.
You hold you accountable for what you did. You sat down, and then you came home and you stood up. So that's what we're gonna appreciate that, man. Give us if you can tell a young brother that's formerly incarcerated or he's on his way home, he might be able to listen to you. And he got a dream and he got an idea. Give him some words right now to inspire and motivate him.
The first thing that I could say is that, don't be in a rush to try to get rich, because if you do, you're going to end up going back to doing something illegal. You got to make sure that you put your passion forward, and you got to keep pushing forward, towards your goal. And the other thing, follow the rules. And if you follow all the rules, you'll get off parole successfully. And you won't have any issues, and you'll be able to follow your goals and you'll follow your dreams. And I know a lot of people that are not able to create businesses, so it can be the same as that thing if you get a job. Like, just stay focused and just follow all the rules so you can get your life back. Because for me, this is the first time that I've been a free man as an adult within the last year. I've been on parole, probation my whole adult life.
Wow.
And I'm just now free for the last year.
Well, listen, you're going to stay free, King.
Absolutely.
Continue to evolve. Darrell Alston.
My man.
Bungee Brand, make sure you follow him. This is Sit Down with the Stand-Ups. Bungee Brand, Darrell Alston. This is Sit Down with the Stand-Ups. If you sit down here, then you're supposed to be here. This is an evolutionary. This is a stand-up individual.